Welcome back to our next episode here, 136 in Light from the Light. We're looking at promises in addition to those that are in the promise book that you can either order a copy that you can carry in your pocket, or you can get on the website, the deanbibleministries.org website, and you can take um, just print out your own copy and in whatever language. It's I think we have 15 or 16 languages, maybe more. There's a couple of more on the way, but um, it's an opportunity to be able to have your own copy of these to review them over and over again, especially if you're going through tough times. Now, our memory verse today has some connections to the verse we memorized in the previous episode. That was Psalm 23:4. This one is Psalm 31:3, and there are certain connections between the two in terms of the concepts and the words that we find here. So let's first start by just saying the memory verse. So Psalm 31:3, for you are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Psalm 31:3. Now I want you to notice, especially in the second half of this verse, that the basis for the plea is for God's name's sake. We have that same kind of language in Psalm 23. This refers to the essence of God, and on the basis of his reputation, the plea, the request is to lead and guide me. And in Psalm 23, that we're told that the Lord is our shepherd, and he leads me by the still waters, and he guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So we see these similarities here. And so as we go through this promise last week and a couple of others coming up, we're focusing on these two principles of God's protection and provision, which we saw also in the rod and staff imagery in last week's Psalm 23:4. God, as our shepherd, protects us and he leads us. And then as we look at this particular psalm, it emphasizes the idea that he is our fortress. And this is from a Hebrew word from which we get the title for a fortress down near the Dead Sea called Masada. It's the Hebrew word Metzadah, and it's used 5 times in the Psalms and other places to emphasize that God is this defensive fortress we can hide in from the enemy. For example, we have Psalm 18:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength in whom I will trust, my shield and the horn of my salvation, and my stronghold. Also, Psalm 71:3, be my strong refuge, to which I may resort continuously. You have given the commandment to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. Notice we have these metaphors of rock and fortress that are stated again and again in these prayers. And the concept of a rock isn't like a large stone or a boulder. It is like a rocky escarpment that is virtually immovable, impenetrable, and unshakable. Psalm 91:2 is another one that uses this same imagery, and it concludes saying, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and fortress, my God in whom I will trust. And this is a word, that word for trust emphasizes confidence in God, unshakable confidence, because he's unshakable. And then we have Psalm 144:2, my loving kindness and my fortress, addressing God as my loving kindness, my faithful, the one who faithfully loves me, and my fortress, my high tower, again, a synonym for fortress, and my deliverer, my shield, and the one in whom I take refuge, who subdues my people under me. So again and again, we have these same images that we can trust in God and have confidence in him, no matter what the circumstances, because God cares for us and watches over us. And he often we have this word rock that is used, and that's what we find here in this particular verse. You are my rock and fortress. So this word Selah for rock is used again and again. It's used a few times to refer to a rock badger and another time for the side of a cliff. But mostly it's used in this sense of God as this strong rock that's like a fortification that we can hide in. Psalm 82 is one that we've memorized before. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. We also see this in Psalm 31:3, where we are right now. You're my rock and my fortress. And some others are like Psalm 42:9. I will say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? So God is, and in some passages in Deuteronomy, God is just addressed as my rock. So this is almost like a nickname for God. And so this is verses that we need to memorize. So Psalm 31:3 is our memory verse. Let's say it again. Psalm 31:3, for you are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. So now I want to take a minute and look at the context here to understand what's going on here. So he begins by saying, in you, O Lord, I put my trust. And the word here for trust is a little different word. It emphasizes you're my refuge. So God is our refuge. And at the very beginning of this is his strong affirmation. In you, I put my trust in terms of seeking refuge. I seek refuge in you. Let me never be ashamed. And then in the last line of verse 1, deliver me in your righteousness. And so again, this word for deliver has this idea of seeking escape from the situation. Uh, let me escape by means of your righteousness. It's the idea there that it is through God's righteousness that he is going to provide for us in fulfillment of his promises to take care of us. And then in verse 2, he calls upon God, bow down, listen to me, bow down your ear to me, in a very poetic way of saying, listen to my prayer. And then he says, deliver me speedily. And this is a different word for deliver, but it has the same idea, just a synonym. Deliver me quickly. Be my rock of refuge. And here it's a better translation, more literal, is be my rock of strength. Be my strong rock, a fortress of defense to save me. And so the word translated fortress of defense is literally house of defenses, house of defenses. And so he's in many ways, that plural is a plural of intensity. So God is a fortress of defenses or house of defenses to Yasha. This is the word for save, like Yeshua, to deliver, but it depends on the context what it means. So when we translate it as save, it's not talking about justification, salvation, or even salvation in terms of being freed from the power of sin. It's talking about deliverance from a situation or circumstance. So this word save is a very general word, and it may or may not relate to spiritual salvation or salvation or deliverance in the spiritual life. But here it's talking about just defense. So that's the context. And then there's this explanation for why can he make this request? You are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. So, this is an assertion based on this principle that we see at the very beginning of the verse. He is our rock and fortress. And the psalmist knows he can trust God to guide him. And that's his expectation. The Lord leads us based on his essence because God cares for us. It's what's encapsulated in that imagery of Psalm 23:4 last time of being a shepherd. because he cares for us, he loves us. And this is part of the fact that God comforts us, a concept we'll see in the next episode, that God comforts us with his word. That doesn't mean he takes away these uh, horrible situations that are the result of living in a fallen world, but that he will give us that which we need to sustain us, and so that we can have joy and tranquility and stability even in midst of these difficult times. So the point that he is making is that because God is who he is, we should trust him. We should have confidence in him. He is our rock and our fortress. So let's close by just repeating the memory verse for today. Psalm 31:3. For you are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Psalm 31:3. So remember to hide in that rock of our salvation, for he is the only one who can truly sustain us, stabilize us, protect and provide for us in the midst of life's challenges.